and welcome to Complying with Canada's anti-spam legislation. Here's my contact information. Feel free to jot down my email address and send me any questions that you might have. So we're going to be talking about list building and the legislation, and we're also going to talk about the importance of relationships because those names in your database aren't just names, of course. They're customers, prospects, donors, members, supporters, clients, and they're the people that make your business or organization what it is. So we're going to do a summary of the legislation itself. We're going to briefly touch on why growing your contacts is important because some people's lists will have dwindled once they have complied. So we're going to talk about how to grow those contacts, some common questions, and the next steps that you're going to take. So Canada's new anti-spam legislation is coming. It will take effect on July 1st, 2014. And when it takes effect, it will have a broad, sweeping impact on any organization that uses email marketing, mobile marketing, and other forms of digital communications. Since most organizations fall under this very large catch-all, it is important that everyone start paying attention now. So beginning with the anti-spam legislation, what is it? So there are new rules for sending commercial electronic messages, and it applies to email marketing as well as all forms of social media marketing. So in short, just don't assume that your audiences want your marketing stuff. You must get their permission first. And this is something that we have been saying in the marketing world for quite some time as a best practice. However, now the legislation is making this an absolute must, and they are putting some guidelines around those rules as to what that means. So one of the key points with the new legislation is all around the topic of consent. And there are two types of consent, express versus implied. Under the new legislation, they want you to have express permission. There is implied permission, which you're going to have a bit of a window there where you can get people over to express, but the goal is that everyone on your list eventually have express permission. So we used to actually call this explicit permission. It's now express permission. So excuse me if I accidentally call it explicit once in a while. I've been calling that for several years. So explicit permission means that either electronically, in writing, or orally with documentation, you have received permission from the customer to send them a commercial electronic message or an email. So they know what they're getting into. This isn't in the event of you have a contest and all of the people who entered the contest with their email address are now in your database and you're sending them monthly emails. That would not be considered express permission. They have given their contact information, but they did not know that they would be receiving marketing messages from you in their inbox on a regular basis. In requesting express consent, there are some key points as well, and these really can't be ignored. So you really have to clearly describe what they will be getting. They have to understand that when they're submitting their email address to enter that contest, that they're also opting in to your email list and will be receiving commercial messages from you. You also have to indicate who is requesting the permission. This may sound a little bit redundant, but in some cases, someone is requesting the permission on behalf of another company, for instance, some marketing companies or other ones. You must indicate that the recipient can unsubscribe at any time. So the new Canada legislation wants consumers to be aware that they can unsubscribe from any email that they're no longer wanting to receive. Now, if only we could really do that with all the junk that ends up in our inbox. What you're going to see is that most companies who are legitimate companies are going to comply with this. Of course, otherwise there's consequences. Unfortunately, there's going to be those spam ones that still make it in and there's just no unsubscribe button. And you know just how frustrating that is. And that's why they have enacted these new laws and legislations. And this is very important as well. A pre-checked box on a web form, a squeeze page, or a landing page cannot be used to obtain consent any longer. So before, this may have been considered explicit permission when we used that term if someone had not unchecked the box. However, under the new laws, you cannot pre-check that box for your client. They have to actually take action and check that box themselves. And on to implied permission. Under CASL, it provides that consent may be implied in any of the following circumstances. Either you have an existing business relationship with that person, you have been doing business with them, they've purchased from you in the last 2 years, or they've made a request for information from you in the last 2 months, or you have a non-business relationship in a family or personal relationship type situation. If they've published their electronic email address, and it has not been accompanied by a disclaimer indicating that they do not wish to receive unsolicited messages, that is also implied. So if they have put their email address on their website and it has no disclaimer saying that they do not wish to receive unsolicited messages, or if it's published anywhere else, for instance in a pamphlet, on their business card, anywhere else, that is for now considered implied permission. And if the recipient has disclosed their email address directly to the sender, but is not aware that it means they'll be receiving commercial email from them in the form of marketing messages. So for instance, you've gone to a marketing event or a networking event or any other event, and you've exchanged business cards with somebody, or they have handed you their email address in any other form. They are willingly giving you that address, but if they don't understand that they're going to be opting into your email list and your marketing list, then that is called implied, not express permission. So if you are at a meeting, it is really important to make sure that you're asking people, and we'll go a little more into that when we start talking about building your list. Now, implied consent has a time limit of 2 years. So you are allowed to use implied consent, and you can continue to do that under the new laws. However, if you have, say, gone to a networking event, collected a business card from someone, and began to email them, within the 2-year time frame, you must obtain express permission. So you can do this in a number of ways, and we'll talk about that in a little while as well. But the point is that in that time limit, you must obtain that permission. Now we will talk a little bit more too about the window that we have right now as Canada is implementing this. Any contacts that are in your existing database that are considered implied, you actually have a grace period, and for the initial period of time that the new laws are implemented, you have 3 years to get express permission. So if anyone is in your email list right now, you do have that window of opportunity to get their express permission. So in short, I should have had a great graphic here of someone panicking. I just want to tell you not to panic at the moment. Your email list is safe, and unless of course you've purchased your email list or in any other fashion obtain it in a way that you shouldn't have. But you are able to continue to email those contacts, and we'll talk about some ways to email them and convert them to express consent in just a little bit. So just a few other considerations. Why should you care that the new legislation's in place? Probably because you wouldn't want to fine. So fines are associated with non-compliance, and so you really do want to track your permission carefully. So again, I don't want to panic anybody. When everything is announced, there's a lot of fear put out because they do talk about maximum penalties being $10 million. However, this is not something that you will expect to get. So the basic fine, and we actually have talked to the governing bodies, some members of Constant Contact have talked to them, and what the fines will typically be is $200 per reported email address. So if you've sent out a commercial email, Joe Smith feels that it is spam and that he has not opted in, he's not given you his email address, and he feels that you got it wrongly and without his consent, he can report you, and you have to prove that you have received his permission, either implied within the timelines or express. and the penalty for his particular email address would be $200. So there are fines. It's never any fun to get a fine. And on top of that, it is just best marketing practice to be working with a list of engaged customers who want your marketing messages. And what do you have to say when you're asking for express consent? You must ensure that they're opting in, that they know they're opting in to receive commercial messages. So if you're at an event and they hand you their business card, you need to just say something like, you know what, I send out an email once a month. I've got some really fabulous tips that I think would be really beneficial for you. Or, hey, we've got a contest, and do you mind if I enter your email address in? You're going to be on our email list, and you'll be receiving a coupon once a month for some, tire rotations and oil changes. And as long as they know, put a little check mark on the back of the card, maybe date it, and when you're entering their contact information into your system, there are ways now in the new Constant Contact CRM where you can simply add a new field into the CRM, and you can have a date field where you can put in, say the date that you've got oral consent from them, express oral consent. And what needs to be included in your emails to ensure that you maintain CASL compliance? You must include unsubscribe options. I typically like to see these at the top and at the bottom of the email so that it's very easy. And this is something I've always done because as soon as someone hits the spam button in your email, a lot of people think it's a way to get off your email list when it is not at all, in fact. But what that spam button does is if I'm using Constant Contact and you've hit the spam button when you've received my commercial email, Constant Contact gets a notification, and if they've received too many spam complaints, they will shut down my account. In addition to that, I'll be blacklisted with all of the ESPs, and pretty soon my delivery will be affected, and I may be trying to get an email to a legitimate business person who's asked for a quote from me, and I won't be able to get my email through to them, just a one-off email, because it does affect your delivery once you've been blacklisted. So please do be careful of that spam button. It's not reporting it to the authorities for someone to be fined. It's not unsubscribing you. It's very legitimate if you're receiving a true spam email. So you've got the Prince Ali of Egypt is wanting to grant you $3.5 million for doing him a favor, or there's the newest drug on the market at crazy prices. If you've got those spam emails, go ahead and hit that spam button. That is very important. However, don't do it when you're just simply wanting to opt out of a legitimate business email. It can really hurt the business. Reminders on why you're getting the email have to be included in your email. So you must let them know that you have opted in to receive communications from us, and there's a monthly newsletter. Constant Contact does have an option at the top of your emails where you can put that permission reminder and let them know why they're getting it. And you must have clear indicators of who the senders are. It is especially important if someone is sending it on behalf of another company, or in the case of a marketing agency. And other considerations are just the dates that you have to comply. So permission mailing list recipients obtained prior to July 1st will enjoy a 3-year renewal window or grace period to move your contacts over to express permission. Otherwise, at that time, if you haven't received express permission, you will need to cease mailing them. Anyone added after July 1st, it will only be a 2-year window before you need to obtain express permission from contacts or cease mailing them. And just a note for nonprofits, commercial activity is regulated by CASL. So how does that apply to nonprofits? Commercial refers to activities of a commercial nature, whether or not it's carried out for nonprofit. So in other words, any organization that sends email to customers, donors, or members is subject to CASL. However, there is a concession made for messages of a fundraising nature. So if you have a mailing list and you are a nonprofit group and you are sending out a commercial message to talk about what you guys are doing in the company, that would fall under CASL. However, if you are fundraising say it's the Brain Injury Society and they're doing some fundraising for some helmets or something, that will not fall under CASL, and we'll talk a little bit more about exemptions later. So what is an acceptable express consent opt-in? As you can see here, there is a checkbox, and it has not been checked. So here it's actually you're about to purchase a product for $10, but you can check if you choose to agree to start receiving their newsletter. If that was already checked, it would not be considered an acceptable express consent opt-in. And here's another one. And here the person is submitting their email for to receive 40% off products, but it also indicates that they will be included in their email newsletter and that they can withdraw their consent at any time. So this is another acceptable means of express. Here's an unacceptable one. As you can see, the checkbox has already been pre-checked, and so that would not be acceptable. And who is responsible for enforcement? There are federal government agencies, the CRTC, the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, the Competition Bureau, and the Office of the Privy Commissioner. So people will be able to go to the government website, which I do have listed in here, where they will be able to report cases of infraction. And once the cases have been reported, then the company against whom the complaint has been lodged will then have to prove that they have express or implied permission. If it is implied, then it has to fall within the time frame of the guidelines. There are some tools within Constant Contact, and if you go into your contact settings, you're going to want to enable advanced email permissions, and that is just going to ensure that you will comply with the Canadian anti-spam legislation. And you will have a confirmed opt-in where people will have it will say, I understand and agree to the following, and that they must check the boxes, for the confirmed opt-in, when you start to upload your lists, you will have to check off these options that you have obtained permission from your contacts to email them. So we're just going to touch on why growing your contacts is important, because at this point, once people understand there are stiff penalties, some people get scared and are ready to just walk away from email marketing, period, or social media marketing. Don't let it scare you away, because permission and engagement marketing does turn strangers into friends and friends into loyal customers. And I've worked with many clients who have had tremendous success in email marketing campaigns. Even for myself, not only have I obtained loyal customers from my email marketing, I've bumped into people at business events who've said, oh yeah, I keep getting your email messages, and they're really informative, thanks so much. And it just keeps you top of mind. The main goal is really to encourage and nurture those relationships. However, having said that, I must say that almost every email campaign that I send out does result in some form of revenue as well. So it's great for building revenue, but most importantly, it's most important for encouraging and nurturing those relationships that do eventually turn into sales. So it's all about engaging with them. And many of you have seen this cycle before. On the right, it's about the clients that you already have, that you've provided that wow experience to. You've enticed them to stay in touch, and now it's so important to engage them through newsletters, through emails, through offers and promotions, which are another tool in Constant Contact, through feedback and surveys, yet another tool in Constant Contact that helps to make sure your messages are the ones that are important to those fans, so that they'll continue to want to receive your messages. So it's so important to do those things, to maintain top of mind awareness, to encourage and build loyalty, and from there you get the social visibility that engagement drives, and you get those new prospects who come to your door by social word of mouth, through comments and shares, through ratings online, and it really, really is such an amazing tool. So don't let the legislation scare you. This is one of the most important things that you can do for your marketing, is work with your social media, your email marketing. So what can you do today? You want to clearly define what you're going to offer the customer in exchange for their email address. So you want to practice this because you do want to have a pitch. People don't want to opt in just because they're going to land on your email list. Do you have an offer for them? It's really important as you strategize ways to get the express permission over the 3-year frame. How are you going to do that? We'll go into that a little bit more shortly. And just some ideas for you. But you have to have that pitch, and your staff has to have that pitch so that people actually have a reason to opt in. Sometimes people do have a draw that entices them as long as they know they'll be receiving newsletters. But why do they want to receive your newsletter? Maybe because they're going to know, they're going to know and be the first to be aware of a Customer Appreciation Day that's coming up. And it's the only way that you get that message out to people. It's not in the newspaper, it's not in the radio. They're going to receive that notification only by email. That's a great pitch, because if you're a loyal customer and you know that, one day a month you're going to get a great discount, and that's how you're going to find out, they're going to want to be on your email list. If they're going to be receiving some coupons, it's going to be really important too. Or maybe you're a service-based industry and you've just got some really great information. You're a naturopath and you've got fantastic information to share with your clients that are going to help them in their day-to-day diets and overall well-being. That is enough of a pitch in and of itself to that type of client. So the key is to really know your customer, know your client, and know why it's important to them so that you can get that express permission and you're not needing to build your list in ways that don't comply with CASL. Then you need to deliver what you say you will. Because if you've told people that you're giving them a monthly newsletter and they're suddenly being bombarded in their inbox every single week, they are going to unsubscribe. Or worse yet, they hit the spam button, not understanding what the spam button is, and now they've hurt your delivery. Great idea to survey your audiences. One tool I love that's in Constant Contact, what I like most of all, is the integration. So there are social integrations, there are survey integrations. When a customer who is in your database fills out a survey, that information is contained within Constant Contact with all of your email information. And you can create new lists that are more applicable to that customer. For instance, if you're a golf course and you've sent out a survey for people who want to be included in a kids club, and you've got a bunch of responders back who said they want to be in a kids club. Now you can create a new email list just for that kids club. So survey your audiences, learn what they consider valuable, and adjust your offers and your engagement according to what they want to hear. With one of my customers, recipes are the number one things that people click through in their email addresses. So we've gone from having article-based newsletters to shorter email campaigns that contain mostly recipes. And the clients, we're having great open rates, great click-through rates on that, and it's been a really great engagement strategy. So if your contacts have dwindled slightly based on the fact that you've had to weed some out, how are you going to rebuild that list? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So of course, this is all stuff you've gone through before, but just some reminders. And if you do send me a request, I do have a fun little document that is 60 ways to build your list, and I'm just going to go through a couple of them. So anytime you're on a phone call, ask people if they'd like to join your list. Let them know that there's a benefit to joining your list and what that benefit is. And make sure that you do go into your contact management system, which is in Constant Contact, and just make a note. If you've added that field of, say, there's custom fields you can add. So I will be adding a custom field that's verbal expressed consent, and it'll be a date field, so I can simply put that date in. So make sure you're documenting. Of course, at any events that you go to, if you're bringing your business cards and you're exchanging with people, jot it down on their business card, the date that they express that permission to you, and when you go home, again, just jot that date in to your CRM. Of course, in your email signature is just another way to gain a few extra, on here you can see it's weekly email recipe club, so that might sound really appealing to some people, another way to get some contacts. Your guest book at your establishment, or some people still have guest books online, and of course in your online presence. So make sure you have a join our email list on your website. 57% of consumers will fill out a card to receive email alerts when asked to by a clerk at local small business. So don't forget to have your clerks asking each person who comes through the till. if you have 5,000 people coming through a month, then that's 20, well, that's between 2,500 and 3,000. I won't do the arithmetic right now, but that's a good number of people you could get on an email list. With express permission, they have either entered the information themselves on, say, an iPad sitting on the counter, or they have actually jotted it down by pen themselves. And if they've jotted it down by pen, we do need to upload that, and there's some great tools that we'll talk about in just a bit here. Join my mailing list button on your website, included on your landing pages. Whenever you have these online forms, it is automatically entered in constant contact where the contact came from, so you do not need to worry about any documentation whatsoever. So you may want to use these QR codes. Use them on your business card. Put on the back of your business card, have a QR code there so that it brings up a form right on their smartphone, and they can enter your email list right away. And all of that express permission is already in constant contact. You have no need to have to document whatsoever. At customer interaction points, again, have a QR code here. Have people just enter, or have an iPad sitting on the counter opened right up to that form where people can now just enter, and again, the documentation's already been done for you in constant contact. Again, share your emails on your social media pages. So when you are publishing an email in constant contact, you have the option to have it published immediately to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube. And by doing so, you have that email out there sharing in your network. So if people like what they see because you are doing a great job at that wow experience, you'll get some more submissions and your list will continue to grow just in that regard. And use your social media sites. Constant Contact does have an app where you can add that right to your Facebook page, and people can enter right on your page. Don't forget that fishbowl. So don't let this deter you. I know that sounds like implied permission, but we can make it express permission. What is really important to remember in the case of a fishbowl is have explicit signage. So you want signage in front of the fishbowl that says, should you enter your business card for this draw, you will be entered into our monthly newsletter, and let them know what they will receive and manage those expectations. Promote the benefits of your newsletter. What are they going to receive? And in so doing, when you upload those contacts, and again, there's a great tool for uploading those business cards, you can have the date in that you got their express permission, and you can even put in how you got that express permission. You can even name the list according to a certain event, which is what I tend to do. So one of those great tools is called Captricity, and you can quickly and accurately extract and enter contact information from your paper forms and business cards into Constant Contact, and it's even accurate with handwriting. It can handle human marks and handwriting with far more accuracy than most people can read it. So this is a great tool if you have a sign-up form right at your till. A lot of people have tried to go electronic at their till to save time and to prevent the problem of handwriting that they can't read. And I find those people tend to kind of let that go by the wayside after a while. So you can go back to having people collect and enter their information right at the till with the pen and paper. Contact capture. You can add and update contacts directly from your desktop on your computer with the contact capture tool. And you don't even have to go into your browser. You don't have to sign up. So it's a very quick way to capture. If you do want to do it at the till, this is a great way to do it. If you have it on the computer, it's right on your desktop, whether you're in an office or whether you're at a retail store, and your contacts can be uploaded right at the till. And iCapture for iPad or Android captures names, emails, and even preferences from customers and adds them directly to your Constant Contact account. It does not even require an internet connection. You just have to relaunch the app when you get a connection. All your data is captured immediately delivered to Constant Contact. And just a quick note about followers and communication on social media exist at the discretion of the site owner. Email lists are just an invaluable tool. So if you're using social media, algorithms change. You may reach fewer people at different times depending. It's just basically a rent would be a situation on social media. Owning your list is something that you have worked hard at growing and building. And it's your list, and you own the connection you have with those individuals, but your responsibility with owning the list is to continue to deliver the value that you promised. If you have no value, you will get those unsubscribers, and Canada is making sure that consumers know that they can unsubscribe. So what can you do today? If you're going to want to rebuild your list anyhow. Building your contact list is something that should always be forefront in your marketing efforts, but if your list is dwindling as a result of compliance, it's even more important to determine at least 2 new ways that you're going to try to collect new emails and put into place these and test them. See which ones are most effective. Is a draw right next to the till the most effective means, or is an online contest more effective? Review. Make sure you check the language you use when asking for email addresses and other contact info. So if you've got, say, for instance, a Facebook contest and you're asking for the email address, make sure you have a note on there that by submitting your email address into the contest, they will be receiving a newsletter, and that they will be able to opt out at any time. That is, of course, the next part here. In your emails, you also have to remind them of the subscription and that you offer opt out and unsubscribe options. And just some common questions now. Do you need to reconfirm consent if you've been emailing the contact for years? And if so, what is the best way to do so? Unfortunately, yes, if you don't have any documentation. So if you have carried with you in your filing cabinet all of these forms that people filled out at the till or old ballots, then you do not need to gather new information on them, or new consent, I should say. You have their express permission because you've got the form that they actually filled out to receive your email. So if you've kept those, you've already got express permission, you are rocking and rolling, and there's no time limit on that at all. However, if you have not got any documentation, then yes, you do need to reobtain it. So some ways to obtain that are to sort through your list, export them into Excel, and start going through the ones that you know for sure you have express and the ones that you believe are implied. That implied list are the ones that you're going to want to work on over the next few years. Upload that as a separate list in Constant Contact, and from there you can send out some periodic emails. What I would do is set up a fun contest, let them know that when they enter this new contest, that by doing so they're also indicating they want to continue to receive your marketing messages by email, and make sure that there is a button for them to click in order to do so. And Constant Contact is actually coming up with some new tools. We'll be informed of those. Some of us presenters will be informed probably within about a week, and we will definitely, I'll go on my blog and explain some of those things. So you'll just have to keep checking back to my blog for that information. There are periodic update emails that you can send out through Constant Contact where people can update their preferences. This is something you've always been able to do through Constant Contact. And so when you send those, you can customize them. And what you want to do is write a catchy subject line. We want to be CASL compliant, or do you want to continue to receive my emails? If I got that, I would want to click on it to either say yes or no, darn it, I don't want to receive that. And either way, you're winning, because you're weeding out the customers who don't want to hear from you, don't want to do business with you. You don't need them anyway, and you run the risk of them hitting spam. You also get the express permission that you need. So there's going to be a series of campaigns that you're going to want to do. You're not going to want to do it every other week or every other month, even, for that matter. So they have been lenient with us with the guidelines, and we have 3 years to do this. So run a couple of the update emails where people can update their preferences. Again, those are in Constant Contact. You can ask me if you have any questions as to where to find that. You can come in for a coaching session with me if you'd like to book a coaching session, and I can go through your list with you, and I can help you find that email, or build some emails to help you to clean up your list. That is a service that I offer. You simply go to tlbmarketing.genbook.com to schedule an appointment with me, and you can schedule a 1-hour session, and the fees are on there. You can schedule some periodic contests over the next few years, but keep that email list separate so that when you obtain those express permissions, now you can move those people into the express permission list, and at least you've got your documentation. How does CASL apply to social networking sites such as LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook? And is it considered express consent when people like or follow your page? So if they're liking or following your page, of course, they are expecting to receive your updates in their news feed, and that is perfectly okay. Where you're going to run into some problems is right now on Facebook, you can create a group, and this is what some people do to get around some of the rules. So right now on Facebook, you can't message everyone who likes you. You can only message back when someone messages you on a business page. People try to get around this in two different ways. One way that they try to get around it is by creating a Facebook profile, a personal profile, instead of a business page, so that they can message all of these people who have not opted to receive a message from them. The other way they do it is to create a group. They suddenly add 200 people to a group and message all of the people in the group, and these people are getting, every time someone replies to it, they're getting yet another message. That is going to fall under CASL. However, just getting periodic updates in their news feed is not going to run into it, because that is exactly what they signed up for when they liked your page. InMail in LinkedIn, we have yet to find out how that is going to be affected, and so stay tuned. I will update those on my blog. In LinkedIn, people are signing up specifically to network with other individuals, so that may fall into a safe zone, but we just don't know yet. So as soon as I find out more on that, just check back with my blog. Better yet, sign up for my newsletter if you haven't already, and that information will be sent out to you when it is posted on my blog. And do opt-ins with proper express permission, so they don't have the check mark checked, have an expiration date. If they have express permission, there is no expiry. Once you've gotten their permission and they have given it to you properly, they are your contact for good until they should decide to unsubscribe. And can lists be shared within an organization? For instance, if an art gallery signs up and that list is automatically shared with all of the artists in the art gallery, that can only happen if you do have a disclaimer, or not a disclaimer I should say, but if the notification is worded to let people know that the list will be shared amongst the other artists, and they understand that the list is not going only to the art gallery but to the artists as well. That is okay in that case. It is not okay, however, if they are unaware. How does grandfathering affect pre-checked boxes on web forms? So this will now be considered implied permission if you had a pre-checked box on your web form and that's how you collected your information before. So you will want to get express permission from them. Just a word on fines. This is just a note from someone in my ALE group from Constant Contact, and he phoned the CRTC to ask some CASL questions. The word he got was, "Don't freak out, nobody is getting fined without various warnings first." So there are going to be warnings implemented. The intent is to raise awareness for consumers, let them know they have rights. The 10 million fine is the max they could fine if they ever needed to, and the rep said on the phone with regards to the DNC list that they never did fine the max allowed. I have clients who are speaking to lawyers and getting bad advice causing fear. So be careful talking to the lawyers, because sometimes they are sending out some information that is causing a lot of fear, is not necessarily accurate. It is a new law, keep in mind. So if you do have questions, the best place to go is the government websites and the CRTC. And I will have a link that I can send you on my website that does have a lot of resources where you can go check those questions, and there will be contact information to contact them if you have any questions as well. And again, it's $200 per reporting email address that you would get fined. What about club memberships, associations, and organizations? The Act indicates that an existing non-business relationship includes membership as defined in the regulations in a club, association, or voluntary organization as defined in the regulations. So if you are, say you've signed up for Penticton Minor Baseball, and now all of the parents are getting some emails that are like an email newsletter and they're a commercial message, this is okay because they have a relationship. It's an existing non-business relationship as a member of the organization. Some exceptions, we've talked about charities fundraising. So a charity is, in some cases, it's a type of nonprofit, but it is a specific type of nonprofit, and if they are fundraising, they are exempt from the rules. Political parties are exempt, family and personal relationships, third-party referrals This is interesting. So if someone has passed along your information or their friend's information to you because they knew that their friend needed to get that information. So say Jane got my newsletter and it had some course information from me, and she gave me her friend's email because she knew her friend would like to get some information on my courses. This is an exemption. It is a third-party referral from someone who knows that your information would be something that is important to the person. And unknown third-party consent. This is one that most people aren't aware of. And this refers to, say for instance, you have a gym, and you can actually go to this website down here. It's on the Regulatory Impact Analysis Statement on the fightspam.gc.ca website. And they give an example of a gym where their opt-in form states that you will receive their monthly email marketing messages, and as well some unknown third-party messages. So they understand that perhaps there may be a nutritionist who will send them some marketing messages, or maybe a food store with some supplements will be sending them some marketing messages. But they yet at that time don't know who those are going to be. And they are actually allowed to do an unknown third-party consent. So the person would have to check off that they are okay receiving an email newsletter from the gym as well as an unknown third party. And that is actually an exemption under the rule. So what can you do today? Review your lists. So were the names on the list collected with clear and express consent? If not, start building a communication plan to get that consent. Again, if you need a little bit of help with this, please just go to tlbmarketing.genbook.com and book a 1 hour time slot with me. If you live far away, I'm happy to do some screen sharing and we can go through your list and create a communication plan. I can even help you put together those emails that you need to so that we can clean up your lists. You will want to review your emails, make sure that the language in those emails reflects what Casl requires. So what you can do today, define what you'll offer in exchange for an email address. So what are you offering people in exchange for getting that? Are you giving them valuable coupons? Are you giving them some valuable advice? Is it for a draw plus your email campaign? What are you offering? Make sure you deliver what you say you will. If it's a monthly newsletter you say you're going to deliver, don't send them spam every single week. They're not going to be happy. Survey your audiences to learn what they consider valuable, so they'll want that message from you. Again, great integration tools and Constant Contact do allow you to survey and have that information right within your CRM. So on the collection side, find 2 new ways that you're going to try to collect emails and put that into place. Review and check the language that you use when asking for those email addresses to make sure it complies. And review in your emails, remind of the subscription, the offer opt-out, and unsubscribe options, etc. Review your lists. Were the names on the list collected with clear and express consent? If not, start building a communication to get that consent. And review your emails. Does the language in those emails reflect what Casl requires? Seth Goodwin quotation: permission marketing is the privilege, not the right, of delivering anticipated, personal, and relevant messages to people who actually want to get them. Any questions, feel free to email me. Again, I'd like to just mention that with Constant Contact, what I love is the fact that the email marketing integrates with all of the other tools that they have. So the event spot, the social campaigns, the Save Local, which is similar to Groupon, single platform, online survey. It all integrates and it has a great new CRM. I usually have a great sale on. This particular sale is happening right now. So if you're lucky enough to be watching this one, if you buy any Constant Contact service today, which I'm going to extend the date, so when you receive this, when I send it to you, I'm going to give you actually 48 hours to respond back to me. I will give you a link in the email, and if you click that, you will receive a free website match. Normally, it's $94 if Constant Contact does it. If I do it, it's normally a $300 value, and I usually include that quick account setup, which is the $194. So that works out to still $300. I'll also give you a 1 hour marketing strategy call, which is sorry, these numbers are a little out of whack here, but it is in total about a $500 value that you receive if you click the link today and subscribe to Constant Contact. So thank you very much for sitting with me today, and I really do welcome any questions that you have. So please feel free to just email me, shoot me a line, and I'd be more than happy to help you out with any of your questions and make sure you're compliant. Again, I'm also happy to do strategy sessions with you to make sure that we get your list compliant. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.